In MMA, we expect blood, sweat, and unrelenting competition, but not every fight delivers the real deal. Today, we uncover the murky world of fixed fights, dives, and works in MMA history. Before we dive into the controversies, let's clear up the terminology. What's the difference between a worked fight, a dive, and a fix? Worked fight. This is when both fighters agree beforehand on the outcome of the match. It's essentially a predetermined spectacle, like pro wrestling, where the drama is scripted. Dive. In a dive, only one fighter is in on the plan. They lose intentionally, without the knowledge or consent of their opponent, often to cash in on a bet or under pressure. Fix. A fix involves external manipulation, where judges, referees, or others are paid off to ensure a specific outcome. This kind of corruption directly undermines the integrity of the entire sport. In this category, we can probably include most of Sherdog's Robbery of the Year awards. However, the chances of having any of those proven to be a fix is quite slim, because getting involved into a dive, a work of a fix,
that's fucking illegal.
Now that we understand the difference, let's explore the most infamous fights suspected of being a work. Don Frye versus Mark Hall, UFC Ultimate 1996. Frye and Hall had faced each other before in an intense clash at UFC 10, in a 10-minute brawl that saw Don Frye as a winner. But in this match, 6 months later, in December 96, Hall tapped out in just over a minute to an odd-looking heel hook in order to Don Frye to advance the tournament with 0 damage. Big John McCarthy details the bout on his autobiography. In their first encounter, Frye had beaten the piss out of Hall, who'd refused to give up. Here, though, Frye ankle-locked Hall to advance to the finals without breaking a sweat. The fight struck me as odd. Frye, a bread-and-butter wrestler and swing-for-the-fences puncher, had never won a fight by leg lock, and Hall practically fell into the submission. I also knew both fighters were managed by the same guy. According to the book, No Holds Barred, Ultimate Fighting and the Martial Arts Revolution by Clyde Gentry, in September 1997, Mark Hall revealed to the fight world what really happened that night. According to Hall, powerhouse manager Robert DiPersia, a man who guided the careers of both Hall and Frye, had demanded he throw the fight. "Well, Mark, sometimes you do what you have to do," Hall claims DiPersia told him. "We're a team. This is Don's day, not yours."
You know, the referee, John McCarthy, in his autobiography, felt that that was a fixed fight.
Everybody did, but fuck that. It wasn't.
It wasn't a fixed fight.
No. I knew that he was going to put his legs up, and I was going to went for just the simple calf lock, you know, and nobody expected it. And that some bitch hurts too, you know. I'll show it to you if you want to find out.
Yeah. No, I'm good. I believe you.
I'm gonna come.
Anthony Macias versus Oleg Taktarov, UFC 6. Macias and Taktarov were training partners, and Macias later revealed he felt pressured to lose due to shared management with Taktarov. Macias, a striker, immediately initiated a grappling exchange and fell into a guillotine choke in 9 seconds. Oleg's quick victory allowed him to preserve energy for his finals bout against Tank Abbott, which he won. At a time where fighters were scheduled to fight twice, or sometimes 3 times per night, it's not uncommon to have a situation like this. This example illustrates the behind-the-scenes coercion that can lead to a work, where fighters' careers are manipulated by external forces. Listen to what the commentary team had to say immediately after the bout.
Wow, was that quick? I don't think Macias wanted to be in there.
Yeah, we gotta be honest. You have to wonder. No, you gotta be honest.
Big John McCarthy described the fight in his book, quote, "During the semifinal match between Oleg Taktarov and Anthony Macias, I believe I saw my first fixed fight in the UFC. Both fighters had the same manager, Buddy Albin, so I think it was decided backstage that Macias would throw the match so Oleg could advance to the finals and face Tank Abbott as fresh as possible. The fight went a little too smoothly for my tastes when Macias shot in and nearly fell into the guillotine choke, which he tapped out to in 12 seconds.
Askren is boxing very bad at. John Paul, it's blogger. I don't like it. It's not sport, it's showtime, yeah.
Aleksander Emelianenko versus Eddy Bengtsson at M1 Global. We can all agree, seeing a fighter taking a dive without even being hit is the best sign we have just watched a fixed bout. Even though this sounds stupid, there have been many MMA bouts in which we saw this scenario taking place. Well, we must say it again. Fixing a fight and taking a dive is not an easy thing to do. This is not something you practice in training with the partner, and it often doesn't go as planned. And you just can't go against your survival instincts with thousands of people roaring in the arena. Let me explain it to you using a simple example. We fixed a fight between Smith and Marco, where Marco must take a dive in the first round. Obviously, Marco knows about the plan while Smith does not have a clue about it. Fight begins. Marco knows he must provoke Smith to attack and land some punches so that he can go down. But we are halfway into the round and Smith is not throwing anything. He is hesitating much and still measuring his range. As time goes by, the pressure on Marco's shoulders is getting bigger and bigger. He made a deal with the devil. There's huge money on the line. Thousands are watching. He must go down. Smith finally moves in, and it looks like an ideal chance for Marco to finally pay his dues. But due to survival instincts, he can't just drop his hands and get KO'd. Instead, he feels a strike has landed around the guard and goes down. But in reality, Smith didn't even touch him. As a result, we have something that looks like this.
I got knocked out. Were you hurt? But it's for us. This is high. It's like a little jab. Yeah, it felt like that for me too on the face. But
This is #1 bullshit.
Nobuhiko Takada versus Mark Coleman, Pride FC. One fight that almost certainly was fixed was Mark Coleman's submission loss to Nobuhiko Takada at Pride 5 in 1999. Takada was the owner and booker of pro wrestling organization Hustle, which had close ties to Pride at the time, and also provided a platform for Coleman's pro wrestling endeavors away from MMA. And Snowden, Coleman stated, "It was what it was. I needed to support my family. They guaranteed me another fight after that, and I needed that security. It was what it was. I'm going to leave it at that."
Then Coleman made two mistakes, One's doing it, the other was letting somebody know about it who fucking talked about it.
Man, I'm a sexy guy, DC. What's wrong with you, man?
Jiri Prochazka versus Satoshi Ishii. Among the many battles in Japanese MMA, some have faced accusations of being less than genuine. One more recent bout in the RIZIN promotion that raised eyebrows was between Olympic judo gold medalist Satoshi Ishii and rising Czech star Jiri Prochazka. An explosive and versatile striker, Jiri attempted a high kick that appeared to knock Ishii down while simultaneously slipping on the floor. On closer inspection, however, the out-of-balance kick seemed to land on his elbow, making fans speculate Ishii took a dive. Prochazka, probably unaware that he was taking part in a worked fight, proceeded to finish the gold medalist with some very legitimate knees to the head.
This guy can't even put a fucking sentence together, man. Are you kidding me right now? He's reaching for those grapes. He's trying to make his wine, and the wine's already sounding like a violin with that cheese and wine. We'll see on November 24th.
The James Krause case, Darrick Minner versus Shailin Nuerdanbieke. In November 2022, a storm brewed in the UFC when suspicious betting patterns surrounding a featherweight bout at UFC Vegas 64 put the spotlight on former fighter turned coach James Krause.
Tell you what, he's a better coach than he is a fighter, for sure, and he is a phenomenal fighter.
The fight in question featured Darrick Minner, coached by Krause, against Shailin Nuerdanbieke. The controversy began when sportsbooks noticed an unusual surge in betting activity favoring Nuerdanbieke to win by TKO, with odds shifting dramatically just hours before the fight. This raised suspicions, especially when Minner appeared to injure his leg early in the fight, leading to a quick TKO victory for Nuerdanbieke. What most likely happened is that James Krause, knowing the extent of his fighter's injury, tipped his followers to bet heavily against Minner. As he clearly was not fit to fight, the Nevada State Athletic Commission launched an investigation, suspending Krause's coaching license. The UFC, in a decisive move, banned any fighters associated with Krause from competing, emphasizing its zero-tolerance policy on fight integrity breaches. The scandal not only led to Minner's release from the UFC, but also prompted several sportsbooks to suspend betting on UFC events temporarily, particularly in Canada. For a deep-down investigation on this topic, I highly suggest GeeKay's own video on the matter.
You're homosexual and you're proud of it. So, man, good for you.
Honorable mention, Bob Sapp. Bob Sapp is a legend in his own sense. In his prime, he fought 63 times in kickboxing and mixed martial arts combined. Despite his size, Sapp has never been a dominant force in either sport, with losing records in both kickboxing and mixed martial arts. His name has been turned into a joke in his late career after multiple accusations of fight fixing, typically collapsing at the first sight of danger, as you see on screen.